critics that say very unkind things that are not true. My tendency is to step up and tell them all the reasons why they're wrong. Not violently, but just to tell them all the reasons they're wrong and try to convince them that I'm doing things the right way. And that's not the high road. The high road would be to say, thank you very much for your comments. I'll try to learn from them. But that's hard for me to do because I'm not going to try to learn from comments that would tear down my theme of nonviolent training.
Where do you think you'd be if your father wasn't in horses?
Where do I think I'd be if my father wasn't in horses? I don't know. I think had he been with another species, another animal, I probably would be the same place in that other species, I think. If he had been a psychologist, I think I would be working hard purely on people. If he had been a bookkeeper or eventually a computer person, there weren't any computers in those days, but somebody in the technical end of it like that, I have no idea where I'd be because I can't turn on a computer or turn it off either. I know nothing about the technical aspects of life. I think no matter how I would have started or what would have happened in my early days, I think I'd have wound up in some form of behavioral sciences because it just has such a draw for me.
How does Join Up work for people?
Join Up works for people very well. And it works well because it's the same thing. It's not even a metaphor. It's the same. Take violence out, live by that theme, allow yourself communication and negotiation, allow yourself differences, but non-violent.
Tell me about your experience with James Dean.
Well, my experience with James Dean was wonderful. It was too short. It was life-changing in many ways. It was not glamorous, and it was not something that at the time anybody thought was going anywhere. James Dean, when I knew him and when he lived with me, was a kid that went to town with me and people said hello to me and not to him. It was his first film. He lived with me before his first film. He was not an actor. He had no name known. And I was in each of the 3 films, but he never got to see them. So he never knew about his popularity. My association with James Dean was to know a unique individual, a funny guy who had looked at life in a peculiar sort of way, a real natural person. He said whatever he thought, he thought whatever he wanted to think, and he had no rigid sort of pattern for life, no reverence to the already identified things you ought to do, kind of a disheveled, sort of disorganized kid, but a nice man, a nice young man that was a great student and wanted to learn everything. He wanted to learn how to rope. He wanted to learn how to ride a horse better. He wanted to learn how to drive race cars. Everything he saw, he wanted to learn how to do. And I loved good students. And so we got on well. I mean, we only knew each other for a few months. But it was a life-changing experience.
Another life-changing experience for you was meeting the Queen of England. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that was great. In 1989, Her Majesty had sent word through that she wanted to see my work and wanted me to come to England and to demonstrate my work for her and for her family. At first I thought it was a joke, and then when I discovered it was for real, it was pretty exciting. And the moment before I walked in the pen with that first horse, I thought this is never going to work because my pulse rate was 150. And, she's the whole family, well-known celebrities forever. It's not easy. But the instant that my horse made a move and I started to communicate with the horse, everything went right inside of me, and it went well. For her to endorse my work and to send me on, to meet with me some 20-odd times since that first moment, certainly has been a life-changing experience. her endorsement of my work opened doors that I'm not sure ever would have been opened had she not done that. The skeptics would have probably kept me at bay from the world when I look back on it. But her endorsement meant a lot to my work, and it's meant a lot to the horses. And she can take credit for that. She's helped the horses through me, maybe more than anything else since we domesticated horses 8,000 years ago.
So through the success that you've reached, do you think that mainstream society will feel differently about horses? Maybe they'll think they're smarter?
Sure. The encyclopedias are already changing. They're admitting now that horses have conscious thought, not just instinctual thought. That's a big step. Yeah, I think all of society will have a higher impression of horses from this point forward.
In Shy Boy, you said that the heart and soul of my work is in the American stallion. Can you explain that?
In the American,
You said that Shy Boy was the heart and soul of your work.
yeah, Shy Boy.
Shy Boy.
He's not a stallion, he's a gelding.
A gelding.
Yeah, but he represents the heart and soul of my work because it is communication. And I started Shy Boy, a Mustang, caused him to accept his first saddle, bridle, and rider in the wild, with no fences, no 20th century facilities at all. And so it had to be completely communication. There was nothing else for it to be. There was no demand, no force. He was asked through communication to come to me, wait with me, go with me, be my partner, and accept saddle, bridle, and rider. And he did it. And he did it in a relatively short time out there in big open spaces. We were on a ranch that's 42,000 acres. So, yeah, it's the heart and soul of everything that I stand for because I say it is communication. It is not really training, nor is it force.
And what did you leave out of your autobiography? I'm sure the pages limited you a lot.
Sure. There's a lot out of my autobiography. One of the things that I agreed to in my autobiography was to only refer to my father where he changed my work with horses, not to refer to any other problems that I had with him, only those things that changed my life where horses are concerned. And, there's a lot left out there. My family and my relationship to my family was minimized because it was a book about my life mostly with horses. There's a lot of stories that could have been told about the kids and Pat and the foster children and all of the things that went into those years with the family. And there's a lot of things that were left out in terms of my work in college with kids and families in crisis. I was in college when the vets were coming back from Korea, and they were coming to a college program sponsored by the government, and they were young men that had been taught to kill, taught to devastate other portions of humanity, and then brought back and said, be nice now, go into this little trailer with your wife and 3 kids and get an education and be a nice man. And it doesn't work that way. You can't dial up feelings in people or dial down those feelings in that easy a manner. And when you dial up a desire for people to be violent, it's very difficult to dial it back down again. So I got to work with those young people that were coming back from Korea, and that was a strong education, and that wasn't discussed in depth.